Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
Chapter 9: Physical Changes. By the third month, Jules could barely recognize himself in the mirror. The hormones had worked their magic with stunning efficiency, transforming his body on a cellular level. His skin glowed with a softness he'd never known. Tiny, sensitive breast buds pressed beneath every fabric, creating gentle curves that required less padding each day. When he ran his fingers across his chest, he could feel the tender mounds developing beneath the prosthetics, increasingly his own tissue rather than artificial enhancement. The hip padding Saskia insisted on was gradually replaced by something real. A slight, natural curve, a promise of the changes to come. Fat had redistributed itself across his frame, melting from his waist and resettling on his hips and thighs, creating the beginnings of an hourglass silhouette that no amount of exercise could have achieved in his former body. "Your ass is becoming a national treasure," Saskia declared one morning, circling him with professional appreciation. "The estrogen is finally hitting your gluteal fat deposits. We should alert the British Museum." Jules rolled his eyes, but couldn't help sneaking another glance in the mirror. His behind had indeed rounded out, becoming fuller and more shapely. "Is that normal? It feels like it happened overnight." "Completely normal," Saskia assured him. "Fat redistribution happens in waves. One day you wake up and suddenly your jeans don't fit because your thighs have decided to throw a coming out party." Even his features seemed to shift. Jaw softening, cheeks blooming with a subtle fullness, lashes thickening to the point where mascara was almost unnecessary. The hormones had altered his face in 1,000 tiny ways, pores refining, skin texture improving, even his nose appearing slightly more delicate as facial fat redistributed. The prosthetic had become second nature. Its sensations now perfectly integrated, the seams invisible, his body's secret. His hands had changed too, veins less prominent, fingers slightly more tapered, skin smoother. Even his feet seemed different, ligaments loosening to change his arch slightly. "Your whole body chemistry is rewriting itself," Dr. Emery had explained during his last checkup. Estrogen affects everything from skin texture to how you process pain and temperature. It's a complete physiological recalibration. Yet it was the subtler changes that unsettled him most. He laughed more easily, cried at perfume commercials, and found himself craving touch, comfort, intimacy. His emotional landscape had expanded, colors more vivid, reactions more immediate. I nearly burst into tears at a puppy commercial yesterday, Jules admitted to Saskia over breakfast. And not even a sad one, just puppies playing with toilet paper. Saskia noticed. Hormones are working, darling, she teased, tousling his hair. If you start quoting poetry, we'll have to stage an intervention. Very funny, Jules muttered, brushing her hand away. But seriously, is this normal? I feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster most days. Welcome to estrogen, sweetheart. It's like emotional surround sound. Everything hits harder, lasts longer, feels deeper. Saskia buttered her toast with precise strokes. Why do you think women are so much better at holding grudges? We remember not just what happened, but exactly how it felt. Terrifying, Jules remarked, but he couldn't help smiling. Saskia studied him over her coffee cup. You know, your smile's different too. Softer, more genuine. The hormones have relaxed your facial muscles, especially around the mouth and eyes. Jules rolled his eyes, but inside he felt a peculiar pride. He was becoming Juliet, not just in costume, but in every cell. The mirror reflected a woman now, not a man in disguise, but someone with naturally feminine contours, movements, expressions. The hormones had altered even his scent, skin chemistry changing to create something subtly different, sweeter. I need new bras, he announced one morning, wincing as he adjusted his too-tight lingerie. These are starting to hurt. Saskia raised an eyebrow. Let me see. With a sigh, Jules unbuttoned his blouse, revealing the lacy bra beneath. The breast forms, once necessary for creating any semblance of a bustline, now sat atop genuine breast tissue that swelled against the underwire. Well, well, Saskia smirked, eyeing his chest with approval. Someone's blossoming. I'd say you're a solid B cup now, even without the forms. They ache constantly. Jules complained, gently cupping his growing breasts. Especially at night or in the cold. And they're so sensitive, I can barely stand to touch them sometimes. That's puberty, darling. The sequel no one asked for, but everyone gets. Saskia crossed to the closet, rifling through lingerie drawers. We'll need to get you fitted properly. The wrong bra now could cause permanent damage to developing tissue. His body temperature had changed too. He felt colder more often, seeking out blankets and sweaters where once he'd been comfortable. Muscle mass had decreased despite his attempts to maintain it, creating a softness that was undeniably feminine. You've lost about 15% of your upper body strength, Dr. Emery noted during a checkup, measuring Jules's biceps and shoulders. That's completely normal with estrogen therapy. Your muscle composition is changing. Fewer fast-twitch fibers, more slow-twitch. Better for endurance, less for raw power. Even his blood work showed the transformation. Hemoglobin levels dropping to female normal ranges. Cholesterol ratios shifting. Hormones reaching the target levels of a biological woman. Dr. Emery was thrilled with his progress. Remarkable adaptation, he murmured, running gloved hands over Jules's hip bones and measuring his waist. Your body's responding to the hormones better than I anticipated. The tissue integration with the prosthetics is almost seamless. Jules sat on the examination table, goosebumps rising on his skin in the cool office air. His body felt both familiar and foreign. Familiar in that it increasingly looked and felt like it had always been this way. Foreign in that each day brought new sensations, new awareness. You're ready for the next step if you are. Dr. Emery continued, making notes in his chart. Jules straightened, interest peaked. Next step, pelvic reconstruction, the doctor explained. It's an advanced procedure, but one that would complete your physical transformation in ways hormone therapy alone cannot achieve. Bone structure, Jules realized, unconsciously placing his hands on his hips. Precisely. While the hormones have redistributed fat and altered soft tissue, your underlying skeletal structure remains masculine, particularly the pelvis. This creates subtle cues in how you stand, walk, and carry weight. And Jules nodded. I want everything to be right, to be real. Real is a relative term. Dr. Emery smiled kindly. But from a medical perspective, yes, this would create a more anatomically feminine framework for your body. Emery explained the surgery in detail. We'll break and reset the pelvis, widen and tilt it, so your bones match your new body. It's painful, but you'll heal beautifully. This is the final foundation for your shape after this. You'll look and move like you were always meant to. How long is recovery? Jules asked, mind racing with practical concerns. 6 to 8 weeks for basic mobility, 3 to 4 months before you're dancing in those Laubautins again, Dr. Emery replied. But the results are permanent and transformative. Your center of gravity will shift. Your gait will naturally become more feminine without conscious effort, and your proportions will align with your developing curves. Jules felt a flutter of fear, but more than that, anticipation. The thought of his body achieving that final alignment, that last piece of the puzzle falling into place, was irresistible. I'm ready. There's one more benefit worth mentioning, Dr. Emery added, his tone professional but understanding. The pelvic tilt we'll create allows for more authentic, intimate experiences. The prosthetic will seat more naturally, and the angle will be correct for, well, whatever activities you might engage in. And Jules felt heat rise to his cheeks. You mean sex? I mean physiologically accurate responses during intercourse. Yes. Dr. Emery nodded, unfazed. Many patients report significantly enhanced sensation and satisfaction following pelvic reconstruction. The body works as a unified system. When the structural foundation aligns with the neural pathways we've established, everything functions more harmoniously. Jules nodded, processing this information with a mixture of embarrassment and intrigue. The prosthetic vagina had already provided remarkably realistic sensations. The thought of those experiences becoming even more authentic was both thrilling and slightly terrifying. When can we schedule it? He asked. Saskia insisted on handling everything from paperwork to packing Jules's overnight bag. You need comfort and style, she declared, tossing in silk pajamas, a stuffed unicorn, and an entire pharmacy's worth of beauty products. I'm having major surgery, not checking into a spa, Jules protested, watching as she added a sequined sleep mask to the pile. And darling, Juliet Rivers doesn't do hospital gowns and scratchy sheets, Saskia replied, adding a cashmere throw to the already overflowing bag. Besides, looking fabulous aids recovery. It's practically medical science. Is that your professional opinion as someone who's never attended medical school? Jules asked dryly. It's my professional opinion as someone who's nursed 3 ex-boyfriends and a distant cousin through various surgeries, Saskia retorted. Trust me, the pretty ones heal faster. It's like their bodies are too vain to stay broken. The morning of the surgery, Jules was a bundle of nerves. His hands trembled as he changed into the hospital gown, the paper-thin fabric a stark contrast to the luxurious clothes he'd grown accustomed to. His developing breasts felt tender against the rough material, and the prosthetic between his legs seemed suddenly foreign again, a reminder of the half-transformed state of his body. In the waiting room, Saskia kept the mood light, snapping selfies, pre-op glam, and making the nurses laugh with stories about Jules's disastrous first time in heels. You should have seen her, Saskia told a captivated nurse. 5 inches of Laubautin and the grace of a newborn giraffe took out an entire display of champagne flutes at Harrods. Security thought we were being robbed. Turns out it was just fashion terrorism. That's wildly exaggerated, Jules protested, though he couldn't help laughing. It was 3 flutes, maximum, and they were ugly anyway. They were baccarat crystal, darling, 800 pounds each. The manager nearly had an aneurysm. Saskia turned back to the nurse. I told him she was an obscure European princess with diplomatic immunity. He was so flustered he actually believed me. When the anesthesiologist arrived, a handsome man with kind eyes and strong hands, Saskia immediately switched to flirtation mode. And doctor, I do hope you'll take especially good care of my friend. She's irreplaceable, you know, one of a kind. She batted her eyelashes with practiced precision. The doctor smiled professionally. We take excellent care of all our patients, miss. Mikhailova, Saskia Mikhailova, but you can call me whatever you like after your shift ends." She slipped him her card with a wink. Shameless," Jules muttered. "Absolutely shameless. Just ensuring you get VIP treatment," Saskia whispered back. "Besides, he has very steady hands. That's important in a man, medically speaking." As the nurses prepared to wheel Jules into surgery, Saskia squeezed Jules's hand. "You're the bravest girl I know. See you on the other side, hips and all." "As if I die on the table, delete my browser history," Jules quipped, anxiety making him giddy. "If you die on the table, I'm inheriting your Chanel collection, so you'd better not," Saskia retorted, but her eyes were soft with genuine concern. And Jules drifted off under the lights, her last thought a dizzy, grateful smile. Pain, ache, a dull, all-encompassing throb. Jules surfaced slowly, blinking up at a ceiling dotted with soft lights. The world felt strange, heavy, but something had shifted deep in his bones. The anesthesia created a cotton wool sensation in his brain, thoughts sliding into each other without clear boundaries. The pain was substantial but distant, managed by whatever was dripping steadily from the IV beside his bed. He tried to move and immediately regretted it. Fire shot through his hips and lower back, a sharp reminder of exactly what had been done to his body. Saskia was there, perched beside his bed in a throne of hospital blankets, painting her nails a shade of red that exactly matched her lipstick. "Welcome back, Sleeping Beauty. You've been out for 6 hours. I've watched an entire season of Love Island on my phone and started a mild flirtation with your orthopedic surgeon." And Jules tried to speak, but all that came out was a groan. His mouth felt like it had been stuffed with sand. Saskia grinned, setting aside her nail polish. "You made it. Surgery went perfectly. Your hips are wider, your walk's going to be pure poetry. Want to see." She helped him sit up, propping him with pillows and adjusting the bed controls with surprising gentleness. Every movement sent new waves of pain through Jules's lower body, but curiosity overrode discomfort. Jules peeked under the blankets. His pelvis was bandaged, compression garments holding everything in place, but even swollen, he could see it. The new curve, the promise of a woman's body. His hips splayed wider on the bed, the angle different, the proportions fundamentally altered. They widened your pelvic outlet by nearly 4 centimeters. Saskia informed him, having apparently absorbed the surgical details with uncharacteristic attention, and tilted the whole assembly forward about 15 degrees. According to Dr. Gorgeous, the orthopedic surgeon, not the anesthesiologist, though he was lovely too, you now have the skeletal structure of a textbook female pelvis. He started to cry tears of relief and release. The pain medication lowered his emotional defenses, allowing feelings to surface raw and unfiltered. Saskia brushed his hair back, gentle for once. "It's okay. You did it. You're restructured, reconfigured, and absolutely perfect." She handed him a tissue. "Now stop crying before your face gets blotchy. I didn't bring the good concealer." And Jules laughed through his tears, wincing as the movement jostled his reconfigured bones. "How bad do I look?" "Like someone who's had their pelvis broken and reset," Saskia replied honestly. "But your bone structure is divine. Once the swelling goes down, you'll have hips that make angels weep with envy." The days in the hospital blurred painkillers, gentle physio, endless visits from doting nurses. Jules drifted in and out of lucidity, sometimes clear and chatty, other times hazy with medication and discomfort. The pain was substantial but purposeful, each twinge a reminder of the transformation underway. Marcus sent flowers on the 3rd day, an extravagant arrangement of white orchids and roses that dominated the hospital room. The card read simply, "To the bravest Juliet I know heal fast, dance soon. Yours, Marcus." "Yours, Marcus," Saskia read aloud, eyebrows rising. My, someone's getting possessive. And these flowers," she gestured to the elaborate arrangement, "scream, I have feelings I'm uncomfortable expressing directly." Or maybe they just scream, "Get well soon," Jules suggested, though he couldn't help the flutter of pleasure the gesture provoked. "Darling, men don't send arrangements like this for simple recoveries. These are I'm picturing our future together flowers." Saskia adjusted the blooms with expert fingers. "You've got him thoroughly hooked, which is perfect timing considering your fabulous new hips." "I'm not exactly in seduction mode right now." Jules pointed out, gesturing to his hospital gown and the various tubes and monitors attached to his body. Vulnerability can be incredibly seductive, Saskia countered. Besides, by the time you're healed, he'll be desperate to see you. Absence, heart growing fonder, etc. Saskia brought forbidden pastries, painting Jules's nails while they gossiped about everyone in the building. She had somehow charmed the entire nursing staff, learning their names, relationships, and workplace dramas with alarming efficiency. Nurse Davidson is having an affair with the pharmacist on the second floor, she reported, applying a second coat of pale pink to Jules's index finger. And the night nurse with the amazing eyebrows is definitely interested in your anesthesiologist, who, incidentally, called me yesterday for coffee. How do you even find these things out? Jules marveled. People tell me things, Saskia shrugged. I have one of those faces that says, confess your secrets. I definitely won't judge you. Which is ironic because I absolutely will judge you, just silently and with impeccable taste. There were comic moments. Jules trying to shuffle with his IV pole, only to be rescued by a blushing male nurse who seemed unusually attentive to the pretty patient in room 412. Saskia sneaking in champagne in a thermos for medicinal purposes, which they sipped from paper cups while watching terrible reality television. To your new hips, Saskia toasted, raising her cup. May they sway, sashay, and lead men to their financial doom. To pain medication, Jules countered, without which I'd be considerably less cheerful about having my pelvis broken and reassembled. And there were quiet, aching moments. Jules tracing the new lines of his hips, whispering thanks to the universe for second chances. The changes were profound, not just the width and angle of his pelvis, but how his entire lower body now connected differently. His center of gravity had shifted, creating a new relationship between his spine, pelvis, and legs. The physiotherapist, a no-nonsense woman named Helen, explained it during their sessions. We're essentially retraining your body to move with its new structure. Your muscles need to learn new patterns, new tensions. It's like getting a new operating system. Everything works differently now. At night, alone and vulnerable, Jules would run his hands over his bandaged body, feeling both broken and reborn. The hospital room was quiet except for the occasional beep of machines and the distant sounds of the nurse's station. In these solitary moments, the reality of his transformation was most palpable, the physical evidence undeniable beneath his fingertips. His body was changing in other ways, too. The time in bed had softened him further, muscle tone yielding to a gentler contour that aligned with his increasingly feminine form. His breasts continued to develop despite the surgery, tender buds expanding weakly. Even his face seemed to have softened further, hormones working continuously to reshape fat deposits and skin texture. Sometimes he cried, sometimes he laughed, but always in the end, he smiled because this pain was proof. He was changing for real and forever. The physical transformation had moved beyond superficial alterations to fundamental restructuring, his body rebuilding itself around a new blueprint. The first time Jules stood and took a step, the world tilted. It hurt God. It hurt, but every inch, every wobble was a victory. His center of gravity had shifted dramatically, lower, more centered in his now wider hips rather than his chest. His legs connected to his pelvis at a different angle, creating an entirely new relationship with the ground beneath him. The small steps, the physiotherapist instructed, supporting him on one side while Saskia hovered anxiously on the other. Let your body tell you how to move. Don't fight the new alignment. Saskia cheered him on, snapping a photo. First steps as the new Juliet. I look like a newborn deer, Jules complained, wobbling precariously between his supporters. More like a supermodel after too many martinis, Saskia corrected. There's a certain elegant disaster to your movement. Very Kate Moss circa 1998. The walker felt ridiculous. A far cry from the Laubautins he'd mastered before surgery, but each step represented progress. His hips now naturally swayed as he moved, no conscious effort required. The structural changes had created an inherently feminine gait, weight shifting from side to side in the characteristic figure-8 pattern of female locomotion. Your gluteal muscles are engaging differently, the physiotherapist noted. That's excellent. It means your body is adapting to the new pelvic angle naturally. By the end of the session, Jules had managed to cross the room and back, exhausted but triumphant. His body felt alien yet strangely right, as if a fundamental misalignment had been corrected, a discord resolved into harmony. He was unsteady, fragile, but he felt more himself than ever before. The pain was worth it. The journey was real. That evening, after Saskia had left and the hospital had quieted for the night, Jules stood carefully before the small bathroom mirror. With shaking hands, he lifted his hospital gown and unwrapped enough of the bandaging to see what lay beneath. And despite the swelling and bruising, the changes were unmistakable. His hips flared outward in a gentle curve that hadn't existed before, creating a distinctly feminine silhouette. The angle of his pelvis had shifted, tilting slightly forward to create the subtle arch in the lower back characteristic of female posture. His hands traced the new contours with wonder and satisfaction. This wasn't padding or optical illusion. This was bone and sinew, restructured to match the woman he was becoming. The prosthetic vagina, nestled between his legs, now aligned more naturally with his altered anatomy, the entire assembly working in harmony rather than opposition. And as he looked down at his swelling hips, the shape of his new life taking form, Jules knew there was no going back. Only forward into the girl he was always meant to be.